That was International Space Station Program Manager Joel Montalbano calling up to the newly arrived crew, congratulating them on a smooth launch and docking, and also wishing Kate Rubins a happy birthday. She has an extra reason to celebrate today. Not only did she launch into space, but she's also observing her birthday today. So if you are following along on social media, you might send her some birthday wishes as well. We also heard Space Station Commander Chris Cassidy welcoming the crew on board. He and his crewmates Anatoly Ivanishin and Ivan Wagner have been working on their side of the hatch to get ready for today's greeting. Again, still got a little while to go before those hatches are ready to be opened, but we're expecting it to take place sometime around 5:45.
Okay, please record readings every 5 minutes, and if possible, call us down with your report. Or you can call down with the report a bit later. But anyways, keep measuring pressure every 5 minutes. Okay, copy.
If you have been following along at home, we've been inviting you to submit questions that you had for us during today's launch broadcast. You can submit those using the hashtag AskNASA on social media, and we've got a few lined up to try and answer for you now. Starting with one from Naive Pipsqueak asking when the crew arrives at the space station, or now that they have, what will be the first thing that they do, and what do they do to get acclimated to life in space? The first thing that they do after they've got the hatches opened will be actually to go through a safety briefing with the Expedition 63 crew members who've been on board the space station since April. They've got the experience down. That's something, emergencies are something that the crews train for together when they are on the ground before they ever launch, making sure they know how to follow along and get to where they need to be safely during any emergency that might occur. But once they get into space, they have a quick refresher course on that, so that if anything were to happen in the immediate future, they would be ready to respond to it. And then they will probably wrap up their day after that. Maybe have something to eat and probably head quickly to sleep. As for what they do to get acclimated to life in space, the best thing I think to do for that is just to live there. It takes a little while, and I think their new crewmates will be understanding as they make that adjustment. But it takes a little bit of time to get used to seeing your friends that you're talking to hanging upside down rather than standing straight in front of you. Our next question is asking what kind of research will be taking place on the space station. There are actually hundreds of research projects going on at any given time, some that require the help of the crew and some that are automated and just need to be in space to happen. But as a scientist, even before she became an astronaut, that is something that Kate Rubins is particularly interested in. Last time she was on board the International Space Station, she was the first person to sequence DNA in space. And this time, she'll be returning to a previous study that she worked on, the effects of microgravity on stem cell-derived heart cell study. That looks at how heart muscle tissue contracts, grows, and changes in microgravity, and how those changes vary between people or subjects. Understanding that could improve efforts for studying diseases, screening, and conducting cell replacement therapy for future space station missions. She'll also be working on a new study for her, the Cold Atom Lab. That study uses laser cooled atoms for study on atoms to try and answer some questions about how they react. At cold temperatures, atoms have almost no movement, which means that they are easier to study. And on the space station, we may be able to achieve colder temperatures in microgravity and observe how cold atom clouds behave for longer periods.
Yes, you're going to start activity in step 7.8. Copy. Opening KKT tunnel pressure control valve. Copy. And KVD pressure equalization valve is closed.
На время 13:11.
At 13:11.
Our next question is from Pawan, who is asking, can the Soyuz spacecraft autonomously dock to the space station? And that is the normal method of docking for the Soyuz. It comes in with the expectation that it will autonomously dock, but if it were not able to do so autonomously, the crew is able to take over and manually fly the Soyuz in for a docking. And then finally, a question from Gloria asking, what does the ISS do to prepare for docking?
Measurements every 5 minutes.
They do some mundane things like just make sure that the crew quarters that the new crew members will be living in are clean and ready for them. But then they also have to get the docking port that the Soyuz will be arriving at ready to receive the new vehicle. And also there's some steps for the space station itself taken care of here on the ground. Things like making sure that we turn attitude control over from the U.S. side of the space station to the Russian side so that it can actually be ready to respond if anything needs to be adjusted there.
Yes, so.
Keep sending in your questions again using the hashtag AskNASA, and we'll try to get to a few more before we wrap up our broadcast for today. Crew members inside the Soyuz still working on getting the preparations made to open the hatches between the two vehicles. That's scheduled to take place around 5:45 a.m. Central, but that could be moved up or run a little late depending on how their preparations go.
Нормально.
How is it going? All is well. Great job.
Кейт, какое давление сейчас?
What is the current pressure, Kate?
Кейт, what about pressure?
Kate, what is the pressure reading?
Суд по фавору.
Moscow, this is Favors.
По связи.
Go ahead.
На время 13:16.
At 13:16,
727 давление.
tunnel pressure is 727.
Принято 727.
Copy, 727.
Так, Сергей, можно будет включить вентиляцию.
So I guess we can turn on the...
Still seeing some beautiful live views of the newly arrived Soyuz MS-17 at the Rosvet docking port on the Russian segment of the space station. At the moment, getting a good view from about 260 miles above the Earth of the Atlantic Ocean as the Soyuz and station travel northeast towards the coast of France.
20 for the spacesuit.
А вот рядышком положи. Просто
Just put it nearby.
Так, сейчас вентиляцию.
Stand by. I'll turn off the ventilation.
форвором примите 15-минутный замер.
This is Favors. Are you ready to copy 15-minute measurement? Yes, ready to copy.
На время 13.
At 13:27,
126.
the pressure is 726.
Принято. 7-2.
Copy 726.
While we wait for the astronauts on board the Soyuz to finish up their preparations for the hatch opening that's coming up, we expect in about 15 minutes, we can continue answering some of the questions that are coming in via social media, and you can send your own in using the hashtag AskNASA. For now, we're going to be answering one from Lincoln, who is asking what the distance from the Earth to the space station is. And that varies a little bit, but for the most part, it's between about 250 and 260 miles above the Earth. For instance, right now, the space station is about 260 miles above the coast between, or not the coast, the border between Germany and Poland, just at the northernmost portion of this orbit of the Earth. It's about to begin heading southeast for the next few minutes over Poland and the Ukraine before it moves into the nighttime portion of this orbit. Our next question is from Christina, who is asking, what are the other astronauts doing during the capsule's approach to the space station? Depending on what spacecraft is approaching the space station, that can vary a lot. If it is a cargo vehicle, at least some of the cargo vehicles, those often have to be basically caught with the space station's robotic arm. And in those cases, the crew on board the space station is the one at the controls at the robotic arm, ready to basically snatch it out of space and bring it in for a berthing to the space station. But for Soyuz arrival, there's not a lot that the crew on the other side of the hatch has to do except for monitor its approach and be ready to respond if needed. This question's coming from Sentiment Fun, asking how do astronauts adjust their body clocks on board the space station? Circadian rhythms are actually one of the things that we study, the way that your body perceives day and night when there's not, for instance, a single sunrise that will cue you into the fact that it's morning, and instead you have multiple sunrises over the course of the day and multiple sunsets. One of the ways they do that is by being careful to keep the shutters on the space station closed when it does get to be close to time for bed on board the space station. That way they're not being cued to the fact that the sun is up and they might feel more active. That helps them wind down and get ready for sleep at the end of the day. And finally, we have a question from Amal, who is asking what port the Soyuz is docking to today. And in this case, it is the Rosvet docking port on the Russian segment of the space station. Soyuz always, of course, docked to the Russian side of the space station. You can see that one Soyuz was already docked there. The Soyuz MS-16, which you can see the arrow pointing to close to the top of the screen. Of course, the new commercial crew vehicles that we're beginning to see launch to the space station will dock to the U.S. segment of the space station. Again, you can keep your questions coming in by using the hashtag AskNASA. We'll try to get to a few more before the end of the day.
Favore.
Moscow Favore. So we are ready to give you 20-minute measurement. Go ahead. We're ready to copy at 1332. The pressure is 726. It is stable. Copy 726.
Crew on board the Soyuz MS-17. They're waiting to enter the International Space Station, reporting that the pressure is stable on their side. That's a good sign. Indicates that they don't have any leaks and means that we're one step closer to being able to open the hatches between the Soyuz and the space station. We're expecting that to take place around 5:45 a.m., so we've still got a few more minutes, but that could fluctuate a little bit depending on whether the crew gets ahead of their timeline or behind. Waiting on that side of the hatch, of course, we have NASA astronaut Kate Rubins with her Roscosmos cosmonaut crewmates, the Soyuz commander Sergei Ryzhikov and flight engineer Sergei Kunskvirchkov. On the International Space Station side of the hatch, waiting to greet them, is the space station commander Chris Cassidy and his Roscosmos cosmonaut crewmates Anatoly Ivanishin and Ivan Wagner. Seeing a live view inside the flight control room in Korlov, just outside of Moscow, where the Russian flight control team watches over space station systems. Things quiet both there and here in the Houston Mission Control at the moment, as we are currently going through a period where we don't have communication with the space station. That is scheduled to last another 4 or so minutes before we will hopefully get another update from the crew once we've reacquired communication with them. Been steadily moving through the checklist that will allow them to open the hatches between the Soyuz MS-17 and the International Space Station. Expecting that to happen around 5:45 a.m., so not too long from now, about 6 minutes, but it's possible the crew could run ahead or behind schedule.
Фаворы Москва.
Continuing the standby for the hatch opening between the Soyuz MS-17 and the International Space Station, but we've got another set of questions that are coming in via social media lined up for you. Again, submit your own using the hashtag AskNASA. But for now, we're answering first one from Patrick asking what happens to the capsule once astronauts have been transferred? Is it used to send them back? It is used to send them back. In the meantime, it's going to stay docked to the International Space Station and ready in case of an emergency. It is the lifeboat for the crew if there is an emergency and they need to get home on short notice. But even if they come home at the regular time, as we expect, they will use that same Soyuz to return and land in the Kazakhstan steppe.
1 millimeter, and then it was stable. Copy.
We are beginning to hear more from the crew on board the Soyuz, updating on their progress. For now, though, we've got a question from Elizabeth asking, do all astronauts and cosmonauts aboard the space station have the same schedule? For the most part, they do, at least pretty close to it. They can vary a little bit if there's some special activity going on. Say, if there is a spacewalk on the U.S. side, the U.S. crew members may have a little bit of a different schedule. But for the most part, they keep the same schedule and usually try and eat dinner together as well.
Actualization step.
That actually leads into our next question from Kevin, asking what time of day they keep on the space station. They basically have kind of a happy medium between the U.S. time and Russian time. They work on GMT. So right now it is 10:44 a.m. on the space station. That doesn't mean they always get up at normal times. According to GMT, however, they will sleep shift as needed for the various operations going on.
There is a bag there, and it has a housing in it. Do you want me to get it? Favor Moscow. This tech pressure is 732. Okay, Irkuty, we copy your reading 732. All right. Then proceed working as per the procedure. Copy in work. We are closing RPV1 valve. Copy. RPV1 valve is closed. We are arming the command to open КВД СУБУ. Yes, open it for 1 minute.
Station Houston on 2 for Chris.
S5 is sent, and then in a minute it will be deactivated. Copy. S5 command is sent. Copy, favore. Could you please pass on the kit to me? It is next to you. Have you closed it? Favore Moscow. Close КВД. So sending command S6. Command S6 is being sent. The indicator is not lit anymore. The command has been sent. Copy. The КВД is closed now. And now the station crew is opening the station hatch. Copy. We are standing by.
Station Moscow on space to ground 2 for Ivan and Anatoly. Guys, you're go to open your side of the hatch. We copy. Should we activate the camera at this time? You're go to activate the camera in MR1.
Hearing words there from the team on the ground that the space station side of the crew has a go to open their part of the hatch. That is not the hatch opening that we're watching for. We'll count the official hatch opening when the Soyuz hatch is opened and the crew is able to get out of their vehicle. Right now, the shuttle and the Soyuz and space station are traveling about 260 miles above Myanmar, about to head over Thailand and into the nighttime portion of this orbit. You're seeing a live view here as it heads into that sunset for the space station.
Yes, that's right. Yes, you can mate it and activate it right away.
We are waiting to get also video of the hatch inside the space station. The crew called down a little while ago that they are waiting to turn on that camera because it's battery powered and they want to be sure that they've got plenty of power left for when it's time.
Favore Moscow. Go ahead, Moscow.
And seeing the first view of the station side of that hatch, ready to be opened.
Space to ground 2, the camera is on.
Copy. It's about the activation of the
Copy,
vehicle.
and
You
we're
can
watching the
record it
video.
in the orbital flight procedure book.
And just FYI, you are on the big screen in the main flight control room.
Okay,
in
what
MCC
page should we open? You will have to do the deactivation of the vehicle. You will be told later at what time. It is page 25 of the procedure dash 38, step 4. Copy.
Moscow Station, Space
Copy,
to ground
Moscow.
2.
So I
The
will
station,
perform
the
this
hatch
step
is open.
for the deactivation of the
Copy,
vehicle.
Ivan, thank
Now, letters go to the actions in the box. Hatch of the station. The hatch of the station is open. Now you can do the steps in the box, in the procedure. Copy, in the work. We are opening cockpit valve. Copy.
Roscosmos cosmonaut Anatoly Ivanishin there has the station side of the hatch inside the Rosvet module open. Now we're just waiting for the crew on the Soyuz side to open their side of the hatch.
Sergey, could you please look at the panel S5? Do you have S3, right? Is it illuminated? No.
Ivanishin's crewmates Chris Cassidy and Yvonne Wagner are gathered there with him inside Rosvet, just out of view, but they're all ready and waiting to greet their new crewmates. Kate Rubins, Sergei Kudspirskov, and Sergei Rizhikov all gathered on the other side of that hatch, ready to enter the International Space Station. It will be the first time for Kudspirskov, as this is his first trip to space.
Are you ready to copy, Favore? Yes, we are. So gas analyzer should not be deactivated. It is page 36 of the orbital flight procedure, step 4.5.
And Chris Cassidy there joining Ivanishin beside the Rosvet hatch.
Should be omitted.
Just out of view is Yvonne Wagner.
Okay, page 36, step 4.5 should be skipped. Yes, I confirm. Then the SR cartridge should be changed in SR 1 to 3. Page 35, step 4, 3. Yes, that's correct. P1 be changed to P3 in SR. So the purification cartridge in BO should not be changed. Copy. The BO purification cartridge should not be changed. And Favore, what about RPV1? Is it closed? Could you please double check it?
These 3 crew members have been alone at the space station since the SpaceX Demo 2 crew left back in August. Doug Hurley and Bob Bankin
Yes.
will be
Copy.
a 6-member crew again for just a week before they make their own departure on October 21st and come home for their own landing in Kazakhstan.
So in BO, you'll have to close the cartridge with a cap. It is in the container number 7, this cap. Copy. And when the purification unit should be deactivated, the purification unit should be deactivated. After the VPO, you will have to go back to the vehicle and using page 72 of the short profile, install cap KSD-SU and then deactivate the purification cartridge, purification unit. It's the short profile, short approach profile, page 72 of the procedure. Copy, Moscow. On your go, I will perform the actions on page 72. Yes, I confirm. Also, some additional information you will have to take from MRM-1 to the vehicle 747, a Ford filter to M in the orange bag. The barcode 3 zeros 71081 R, English letter R, Latin letter R, like in red. Could you please repeat the number? So you will have to move the Ford from your vehicle. Yes, I understand. But what is the number? The number is 000-71081R. So this is the barcode number. Did you manage to jot it down? Yes, I did. Also, you will have to move BMP number 19 with 3 IPK masks. So BMP cartridge and 3 IPK masks. Copy all. Thank you. Also, the third space suit will have to be given to the crew of the vehicle 745 for drying. The spacesuit is already prepared for that. Okay, 1350, the measurement, 1350, yes, go ahead. Well, actually, at 1350, we installed the second spacesuit for drying. Copy, at 1350, the second spacesuit is installed for drying. Now, regarding Unit 2, should not be installed in case of fire. You will have to activate the fan in BO manually. Copy.
Блок 2 не устанавливаем.
So Unit 2 should not be installed, Moscow.
Так, отметили, да?
So did you take a note of that? Yes, we did.
Так, ну да, еще раз получается.
Also, Moscow, after you open the hatches, you will have to go back to the vehicle to deactivate comm assets in the vehicle and also purification unit should be deactivated and the SU cap should be installed. Or we can remind you later if you want.
Какое у вас сейчас давление?
Could you please give us the pressure reading?
Текущее давление 740.
Current reading is 740.
Принято.
Copy.
Что говоришь?
Still standing by for the opening of the Soyuz side of the hatch that you're seeing here, as well as the full Expedition 63 crew. Closest to the hatch, Anatoly Ivanishin, and in the middle, NASA astronaut and space station commander Chris Cassidy. Just out of view, except for his hands that are floating in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. You can also just see a bit of the third member of the crew, Ivan Wagner, Roscosmos cosmonaut and flight engineer. Eagerly awaiting the opening of the Soyuz side of the hatch. They've got their part done for this operation.
Go ahead.
Мы ожидаем, да?
We're standing by for
Верно, сейчас идет
the
выравнивание
event.
давления.
Yes, pressure equalization is going on at this time. Copy all. MCC Moscow SS and Space Ground
На связи.
2. Go ahead. How much time approximately will it take?
Секунду.
Stand by 1 second.
Сейчас разница в давлении 13 миллиметров.
Right now, the pressure difference is 13 millimeters. Copy, 13 millimeters.
Favore Moscow, what about the current pressure?
136.
Принято.
736. Copy.
Москвы МКС, СГ-2.
MCC Moscow ISS on Space Ground 2. Go ahead.
Мы встречаем и идем сразу в СМ, правильно?
So we're going to welcome them on board, and then we're going to move to the service module. Yes.
Да, все правильно.
Right now, the pressure difference is 4 millimeters. Okay, copy, 4 millimeters. Sounds good.
Фаворы давление какое?
Favore, could you please give the pressure reading? 735.
Принято.
Copy.
Фаворы.
Favore,
Приступаем к открытию.
Moscow, you can start to open the hatch BOSU.
Guys,
Copy.
on the
Close
three
ККТ.
are starting to open
Well.
their hatch.
Приняли, приступают к открытию.
Copy, they're starting to open their hatch.
And it sounds like the moment we've been waiting for is imminent.
КПТ.
Crew on board the Soyuz getting the go to begin opening the hatch on their side of the equation. The space station side of the hatch has been open for about 15 minutes now, so just been waiting for the pressure to equalize between the two vehicles so that they can get that other hatch opened.
ВД ККТ закрыт.
КВД and ККТ valves are closed. I'm starting opening the BOSU hatch. Copy.
And there you see the hatch open at 6:07 a.m. Central Time.
We are observing how you're opening the hatch.
And the first chance to float inside for the newcomer to space, Sergei Kuzbirchkov, who's making his first trip to the International Space Station, followed there by NASA astronaut Kate Rubins on her second journey to the space station.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Kate. Happy birthday. You had a big candle, that's right. Там немножко все, little stuff around because for a car loaded.
And the final crew member to arrive, Soyuz Commander Sergei Ryzhkov.
Good to see you.
That's all three members of the Soyuz MS-17 crew on the space station side of the hatch, officially arrived at 6:07 a.m. Central Time.
Should I activate camera on the MRAM? Yes, turn off the camera in MRAM when everybody else moves out of MRAM. Okay, sounds good.
Moscow, favor, go ahead.
Сейчас я уточню, Сергей.
Okay, so what are our actions? Sergey, stand by one.
Сергей, давай сначала на
Sergey,
потом все остальное.
let us do the conference first, and then all other, the rest of the actions in the vehicle will be done after that, and we will remind you about it. Okay, so talk to you later. Thank you, bye.
Again, all members of the Soyuz MS-17 crew now part of the International Space Station crew. That patch is open between the two vehicles at 6:07 a.m. Central Time, while they were flying 268 miles over the Tasman Sea, just off the coast of Tasmania.
This is Moscow ISS on Space to Ground 2. Go ahead, Ivan.
Включай тогда по команде, да, камеру?
Okay, I'm going to turn off the camera. Yes, you can go ahead, and then we can move to Space to Ground 1. Yes.
Так, надо отключить в миме или...
Should I turn it off? Because we see the MPEG viewer video in MRAM. Okay, let's complete the PO event first, and then we will turn it off later. Okay, copy. Should I activate the recording on MPEG viewer? No, do not turn on the recording on MPEG viewer. Okay, and then translate to, and you can move to Space Around 1.
Normally at this point there is a group of NASA and Roscosmos managers as well as family members waiting to greet the crew members from the ground because of the various coronavirus-related precautions that are in place. Many of those people weren't able to travel, and those that were actually had to go ahead and leave the site where they were watching docking. So the usual group is not gathered for that ceremony, but I think they will have some well wishes from the team supporting on the ground all the same.
Ребята, наблюдаем вас на экране.
Guys, we see you on the screen. And favor, congratulations on your safe arrival. Thank you.
И рады вас слышать и видеть.
We are super excited to see and hear you guys.
Да, Антон, узнаем, конечно.
Likewise, and we are happy to work with you, Anton. We are really glad to hear you.
All 6 members of the new space station crew together in this view for the first time. The new members of the crew are in the darker flight suits.
If you could you please move a little bit to the left because we cannot see Kate clearly? All right. This looks wonderful. Now you fit on the screen just nicely. We are finally home. Station, Moscow, on Space to Ground 1. How do you copy? Loud and clear. Guys, good morning. This is, as you know, your old friend Gidzenko here with you. Yuri Pavlovich, we are excited to hear you. Well, since this whole situation, as you may be well aware of, we would like to say congratulations from all the top management in Baikonur. Also, the Soyuz flight control room would like to congratulate you guys and Kate Rubins with successful docking, and I would like to congratulate you from the main flight control room, who were also supporting and talking to Anatoly, Chris, Ivan all the time. Also, the transportation team would like to say congratulations and favori. It was a wonderful launch, wonderful docking, despite a tiny failure. You reported everything well, you tracked it, took all necessary measures, and you honestly performed wonderfully. So now it's just a pleasure to see your smiling faces, happy faces, inspired faces. For Kate and for Sergey, this is not their first rodeo, of course. But you, Sergey, you probably feel like you've been on board. And Kate, I would like to join in and say happy birthday to you. It's a beautiful day, and you celebrated it wonderfully with such a great docking. Thank you so much. It's the best birthday that I have ever had. Agreed. And not to distract you too much, guys, I would like to give the floor to you talked to Vladimir Solovyov. He has left the mission control for a bit, and he sends his best regards to you one more time. You have already spoken to you. Well, now all you need to do is to deactivate the Soyuz vehicle, and I would like to remember my experiences from 20 years ago, 2nd of November, when Sergey and Shep and I opened the hatches, and nobody was really greeting us on the side of the ISS, and we had to turn on the lights and make it our home. And it's a wonderful feeling that 20 years later, we are greeting Expedition 64 on board the ISS. So one more time, congratulations and good luck. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a great pleasure to us that Sergei Konstantinovich came to see us off at Baikonur, and you continually remind us of the great past and the great history of the ISS, of how we continue to follow in the footsteps. And guys, we understand really well that for Anatoly, Ivan, and Chris, it's going to be the wrap-up of their activities on board. For you, it's a starting point. You'll be learning the ropes, getting acclimatized on board. So feel free to ask any questions. We will always be here to support you, and let's hope that everything goes nominally. Also, well, work for the timeline. Thank you so much. All right, this is Anton Glavny. We are done with all the TV activities. I do not want to hold you up any longer. I will give you small tasks to everybody. Sergey, you need to wrap up all the activities in the Soyuz vehicle, the COM deconfig, and et cetera. Just work for the procedures. Copy. I'll put everything in work. Ivan, you can deactivate the TV video and stow it. And for Anatoly, please open the PRK hatch for Form 24, and all the information from the GoPro cameras needs to be downlinked via OCA. Wilco. This is it, guys. If you do not have any questions, I will be happy to talk to you later.
Those words coming from the flight control team in Moscow, and more specifically from one of the members of the very first expedition crew that arrived at the International Space Station back on November 2nd, 2000. They launched on October 31st and then docked a couple days later. That was Yuri Gudzinko, who was a member of the crew, Russian cosmonaut member of the crew, along with Russian cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev and NASA astronaut William Shepard. Again, they arrived at the space station, the first long-duration crew to stay there, on November 2nd, 2000. So we are just a few weeks away now from marking the 20th anniversary of their arrival. Kate Rubins, Sergei Kuznetsov, and Sergei Ryzhikov will all be there to mark the occasion of the 20th anniversary of continuous human presence on board the International Space Station. And they got some well wishes from the first person to make that same journey, recounting his own experience of arriving with the lights off. A little different than the usual greetings we get from family and management on the ground, but a good substitute. And also, of course, he had some birthday wishes for Kate Rubins, who is celebrating her birthday today, in addition to launching to space.